I froze on a really good face, apparently. Yep. Refresh. Time to refresh. It's refreshing. Yes, I'm back. Yes, we had a bit of a dive there. Apparently, I froze on a really good face. But anyway, so let's do our stippling while we can. But yeah, I expect TikTok to put up a paywall sooner or later, but to reach. But for now, Book Talk is making a lot of authors really happy, and most of them are romance. But okay, so let's start out. I usually start out with my dark. I'm just gonna get this in here, and then I'm gonna grab my Cairn Stone. I'm just gonna start randomly popping in lights and darks. I'm gonna try to keep it notably lighter in some places. If I notice that I've got a really strong Cairn Stone area, I might drop some more in. I don't want to get too thick with this though, so I'm going to bring in a little white. I'm not rinsing my brush off for this, you'll notice. More stone gray. Some bricks I want to be very light, some I want to be very dark. Try not to curate your stippling too much. Try to be kind of organic and random about it. You can always go in and balance out an area if you notice it's gone really dark or really light. I'm just going to go straight up to white here and see how I can. I think I might have put too much. I did put too much water in my white. Habits die hard. Pardon me while I thicken up my white. Actually, I'm just going to go to new puddle. New puddle. Okay. But yeah, for now I think Amazon Ads is where I'm at until I get like the third book out. Then I might look elsewhere to see. But I feel like I'm comfortable where I am with those ads. Like I understand them now. I just need to get better at them. You can also just do a dry stipple over the top. So if I grab this Cairn Stone and I just do just dry stipple, kind of like snowflakes. But I can also put in, it depends on how much sharp versus how much dull you want. But you see we're getting at speckled appearance, and that's what we want. I do think I want more light here and there. And I'm not caring if my brush is disintegrating here. This is why I grabbed this brush, because I never use the miniature series brush. I'm not a fan. So I don't care if I wreck it a bit. Although I'm being pretty gentle with it. So this is very general. And I do want some lighter areas on these. And I'm going to get more precise. But this is my start. So you can see we've got a very stippled, scattered look here. And that's what we want to get those effects. So now I'm going to take my white. Hold on. Let me grab my reference photo again. Okay. So you can see it kind of the splashies. But now we can go in with a bit more. And I'm going to mix up some magenta into one of these grays. Or magenta plus one of these grays. I could use, maybe I will use Runic Glow because this is already magenta plus white. Obviously, it's a water weird. It's a water weird Pendrake. Ah, reviewers, yep. Yep. Yeah, that's where I found some of my cozy fantasy books, was on Book Talk. One day, I hope somebody will do my book. Well, some reviewer will discover my book and do things on Book Talk with it. Now, here we'll get in trouble with the magenta because we actually want a pink that's warmer. So I am going to drop just a tiny bit of yellow in here. Tiny bit on my brush. A little bit warmer pink. And I'm popping that here. And I'm going to try to make it a little bit gray. So I'm going to add some white, some cairnstone to it, to bleach it out. That's doing a good job. I want to kind of look at my darkest pink gray on these bricks. I think I need to mix up a whole new puddle. Yeah, that's real close. So a pinky gray, like that, taupe almost. Okay. Let's see what I can do here. Now we're going to start doing irregular bricks that are pink, because if we look at our example, you can see that they have darker bricks interspaced, interspaced here, like they're here and there. So we will grab some of these darker bricks and we will do them in pink. And I'm going to grab a brush that I actually like. Goodbye, Miniature Series brush. I am done abusing you. We'll grab a Da Vinci. And I do need to line these as well, but I'm going to lock in some color first. And we will do glazing as well, but I want to get in some of this pink. And I'm pretty much wherever a really dark brick is popping up, I'm putting some pink in. You can see little bits of it popping up here and there. It's not very in your face, but then on our reference photo, it's also not very in your face. So. Got some pink. I'm going to do a general, I think I want to do some lining. And I do want to put some pink just here and there. So I'm doing a little bit of stipple. Okay. I think I want to line. So I'm going to reach for my I can either mix brown liner with my stone gray, or I can use gray liner. Either one works, honestly. Second here. Gray liner is going to be a little bit more dead, I think. I'm going to use the brown. Where is my brown liner? If I can find it, if I have not eaten it. There it is. My print copy of my new book should be in my hands on Wednesday. And then I will start my read through. All right, we want to grab our mixing brush and make a mix of stone gray into the brown liner, just to lighten it a little and make it not quite so stark. I'm also going to add just a tiny bit of pink. Tiny bit of pink. Because why not? Here we are. I'm going to pop some water into that. Maybe not a full drop. Just a little bit. I don't want this to be too dark, but I want to outline the stones. So we'll try this. And I still haven't taken my white in or done any real precise stippling. So sharp brush. We're gonna restore our brick lines here. And let's see if this is dark enough. I think it will be. So you can see those little lines coming in. Yesterday I sat down with my original, I wrote 2 chapters, more or less. The second chapter's a little incomplete, but I wrote the first 2 chapters of North of the Wind. I don't remember. Obviously not nearly as long ago as I did East of the Sun and West of the Moon. I think I tried to write these. I'd have to check. But my guess is like 2016, 2017 maybe? It's before I came out here, for sure. I just only started them because like Nano was coming and I didn't have a Nano project. And I was like, I should start the next book. But then West of the Moon's ending was badly needing rewriting, and I just bottomed out on it. I knew that I had to properly finish the book before I started the next one. So my texturing with my new bricks isn't as rough as the, I probably could have stamped these again to really bring out the rough texture that we see on these interior bricks, but I think it'll be okay. Once we stipple everything, it should be okay. But yeah, the first couple chapters are actually about what I would have wanted, and I'd forgotten some cool stuff, so I'm like, oh, I was thinking this when I wrote this. Interesting. So North of the Wind is dealing with many of the same characters from East of the Sun and West of the Moon, but I'm interested to see what you guys think of it once you've read my book, if you have read my book, my second book, because Sadis and Ash only have a very brief appearances in it, and for the most part it's Sola, and it's set 10 years later, by the way, 10 years after the end of West of the Moon. And the main character is actually Citizen Sola's younger brother Tor, now that he's a bit older. A little bit of lining here, just to bring out the bricks. What about eggs? Yeah, it's a Sola and Tor and Will book. And actually, a lot of people like Will. I was not ready for that. jagged brick right here. I'm just trying to like line around here very gently. I'm trying not to knock out all my stippling, but you can see that putting the lines in does help. I haven't done any of the cross lines yet, so we're mostly seeing these stripy looks. You could do that, Grey Wolf. I would never complain. I personally am a rereader. I will do that. Two of your 5 eggs had cracked themselves. Is your refrigerator really cold? Otherwise, eggs should not crack on their own. So let's start making these crossways. I've done a couple of them, but let's start making these crossways dashes now to really bring out more of the brick shape. Well, you won't have to worry about it because, you know, I mean, this is for a book that isn't even written yet, so it'll be a while. You don't have to worry about it. Suffice to say that each of the characters that you're not sure who they are will be retouched on in the back of, like, toward the end of West of the Moon. Everybody comes together. Everything comes together at the end of West of the Moon. So I have to finish some arcs. Finish some things. That's good. Getting a lot of broken tile feel from this, and I like it. It's good. Then we're going to come back in with highlights, and we're going to double down on this stuff. Double down on all this texture we're doing. This is a pretty good, look at this. This actually works really well with Cathy. I tie up most of the big threads get tied up in the second book. Like, this is really a 2-book series, and then every book after that is more of a serial adventure where it is a self-contained story, which may confuse people. I think it was David, if somebody, maybe one of you, I don't remember, but that suggested that book 1 is book 1 and book 2 is book 2, but after that the books are a Bear King's book. I think that's what Brian Jacques did with Redwall, if I recall. It's a novel of Redwall. So, by the way, apparently Netflix is going to have with that Redwall series. I went to look up Redwall as a comp title for my books for advertising purposes and realized that I couldn't use it because it's getting a huge amount of traffic right now. Because it's going to be coming out in series. And you would think that that would make it a good target for advertising, but you would be wrong. I'm intensifying the pink a little bit here, just a little. I don't think I want to go too, I don't know that I want to glaze with pink. I may glaze in places with Runic Glow, but I'm concerned as to how pink that may take it. I may stick to my more subtle pinks. I think this base, though, this color, is working for Cathy really well. The touches of pink help to touch with her hair, touch base with her hair. Yeah, it really is volume 2 of the same book. They were written as one book originally, Turgeon. And then I had to do a lot of rewriting to make them work as 2 books. Subtle stuff, too. Yeah, I like this. I like this. It's subtle and it ties back to the pink. Like, it ties back to her hair really well, but it doesn't, like, pull your eye. It's just a subtle thing. I like it. I like it a lot. I'm glad that it swept you along. When I was writing those, there came a point, like I'm always in the beginning where I'm setting stuff up. I'm a little bit, oop, big bird. What was that? Some big bird came in and tried to land on a branch way too small for it, but I didn't see what it was. Anyway, but I take a bit to ramp up, but once I'm in, like even writing the book feels like running a race. So if you feel that when you're reading it, you're feeling what I was feeling when I wrote it. But yeah, the reason that that targeting a really hot book or a very hyped book doesn't work for advertising is that when a book, think about it, when a book is really like being talked about everywhere, people come along and they will pick up the book even if they don't normally read. Like when Harry Potter was hot, everybody was picking up Harry Potter. Even people that would never read a young adult fantasy ever in their lives, they were still picking up Harry Potter. So what that means is when you try to target that book's audience, you're targeting a bunch of people who actually aren't your audience. It's okay, Turgeon. Don't be frustrated because you know what? You have time. Like sure, Richard had time off and sick days, and he managed to bust through it, and Zachariah made an effort to bust through it. But that doesn't mean that you need to, because like I said, I won't even get my proof copy till Wednesday, and then it's going to take me time to go through and make my own notes, and then I'm going to grab all of you guys' notes and my notes and my proofreader's notes, and I'm going to integrate everything all at once, which is the way to do it, because it's just that way I go one go through and I fix everything. So yeah, don't worry. And don't worry if you get swept along in it and worry that you're not going to catch typos, because I know when I'm reading a book, even a book I'm really into, I will still catch a typo. So. Yeah, and then you've got the really tough ones, Twistoma, where the shell is really thin but the membrane is really thick, right? It just depends on the company, I think. But yeah, take your time, relax, and just do it. Like, read it. Honestly, if you don't catch anything when you're really in the story, that's fine. Somebody else could catch it. Don't worry about yourself. Just enjoy the book. And the cool thing is that when you're reading for flow like that, Turgeon, you're going to notice if something is clunky. You're going to notice if something doesn't make sense. So your observations in being caught up in the story are just as important to me as people who are nitpicking a little more and catching typos. Like, honestly, just as important, because flow is really important to me, and making sure that the plot makes sense is really important to me, especially with how I had to rewrite the tail end of this book. I feel like I did okay, but it's a valuable observation. Sweep a longest book. Sweep a longiest. Okay, I totally want that word. That's my new word. Sweep a longiest. That's awesome. Well, good, Richard, because I worried about that. I actually really have always worried about that. I worry because I write long. Like, I don't write like really short, snappy prose, right? I have prose. It's prose. And so I worried that it wouldn't be sweepy enough, right? Like the pacing. I was always asking my old editor about pacing. Pacing. She's like, your pacing is great for young adult. I'm like, really? Mouse guard, yeah, it could. I mean, but that's not really it's not necessarily a comp title for my book, Pendrake. The reason that Redwall is a comp title is that, and Mouse Guard is not the same. Yes, they're both like medieval mouse adventure books, but Redwall is a sweeping adventure book. Like with Redwall, except for the first book, you're not just in the Abbey. You are exploring the world. And it's that sense of adventure and that sense of discovering new places and meeting new challenges that is why Redwall is a comp title and why Redwall had a huge influence on my books. Because I love that sense of adventure. I love going to the mountain and meeting the Badger King, right? I love all of that. I love fighting the Toad King, right? I'm into all of that. And that feel, that adventure journey feel, is really a part of my books, like huge part of my books. Oh yeah. So yeah, if you did forget a character, Zachariah, just make a note of it because that means I can lean into it a little bit more and remind people when that character comes back who it is or when that reference comes up. That's really important. That's really important because I don't have a ton of characters. If you look at them, like there's maybe only 10. Like if you're counting minor characters, like there's not a lot. But yes, I could see how you would be like, "Oh crap, who is that again?" So, so yeah, for sure. I'm going to grab some of my cairn stone and start highlighting a little bit of upper edges. Now I can do a little bit of highlighting on my lights coming down this way, so I actually want to highlight toward the outside edge of these instead of the inside edge. Yeah, the animals are a red herring, exactly. Well, although not, because people who like part of why I like Redwall is that it is animals, right? So that also, I write very animal heavy. Like people, there's this dislike in traditional publishing of animal fantasy and of talking animal fantasy. And I'm like, that isn't what it's all about, but it definitely is an element of my books. And every single, if you ever read one of my books that doesn't have an animal in it, something is wrong or something is off. Um, you can make a note because what happens then, Zachariah, is that if you're the only one that makes that note, I'll read through myself and I'll see if I can understand why. And it might not change it, but if other people also said I couldn't remember who X was, then I'll change it. I think that's key. Stephen King and Neil Gaiman both talk about that. They're like, if one person says they didn't get it or that it needs to be changed, make a mental note, but don't change it. But if more than one person does, especially if several people do, then change it. Then really get down in there and think about changing it. So I'm going to outline the outer edge here to try to indicate that light is coming in from this direction. Exactly. Talking animals are a feature of folklore, and that is why they are in my books. And if traditional publishing, just doesn't see it, then, well, I'm not going with them, am I? Oh, that's funny, Quindy. Well, yeah, okay then. And that's fair, right? Like, sometimes I struggle a little bit with, okay, who is this again? Usually not if there's only, like, a couple of point of view characters. But I know everybody's got less brain RAM these days, so it's totally fair, and I'll look at it. Like, yeah, so do tell me where you struggled. It's valid. Ah, that was a little late. So I'm trying to make, and if I do encounter like an edge that I made a little strong, I can always stipple to bring that in. Like this is kind of a bland brick anyway, so I can stipple a little bit and make it blend in. I did read the Belgariad. I read the first 2 or 3 books of it. It didn't have enough women in it, and the buddy stuff, like, yeah. And I wasn't a big fan of the male leads, so my favorite was actually what is it, Pelgora, is it? Or whatever the female sorceress who's helping him is. She was my favorite character, and so it's just like the fact that she's not a main character, and I didn't really care, like, the guy lead didn't get me. That was the case with a lot of like very guy-written fantasy in those days, though. Is like the guy-written epic. It had to have a strong female character, or I was very frustrated with it. The only exception being like The Hobbit, which I just loved for itself, and I read when I was much younger. Wind of the Willows is not. Although it does have some deeper themes in it, Wind of the Willows does, and so in some ways, but the comps that I think of, Pendrake, are really the books that really influenced me to write this kind of book. So like Robin McKinley as an author, especially her novel Deerskin, and she has got a couple other, I think, fantasy fairy tale types that she does retellings. Jane Yolen is another author comp who has written books similar to this, and she's a possible comp for me. Redwall, because, like I said, that adventure, that sense of adventure, and the not being afraid to like lean into the animals, because the animals are definitely an important part of my writing. It's kind of frustrating when you're a writer and you still think about, at least when I was still thinking about traditional publication, to be told that talking animal stories are the worst by traditional publishing when that's your strong point. Like, I was so disheartened when I realized that the fact that I had talking animals was going to be a major bullet point against me with most literary agents. When I wrote my story there was a story I submitted to get into the writing workshop that I got into back in 2010. And it was actually the precursor of this entire world that is in these books. And one of the big things that people told me was that my Sphinx was awesome. Like, there's a Sphinx in that story. You'll meet him someday, actually, if you keep reading my books. And everybody, like, just, I write great animals. I just do. Yeah, Polgara. There we go. Yeah. Oh, yeah? Is there a Polgara Red book? I'll look that up then. Yeah, they're not modern. They're not. They definitely are the older clunkier epic fantasy, but that's still enjoyable sometimes. If I had liked the boy character better, then I might have stuck with it. But yeah, if there was a Polgara series, then I'd be more interested. Because I liked her. She was good. It was a nice breakaway from the male mentor, you know, to have a female mentor figure. So, doing a little bit of stippling here, bringing out the edges. We're not losing our pinks. We probably need to introduce our pinks a little bit. Yeah, I know. That's a problem, right? There's nothing quite like my books. There are actually, okay, take that back. Have you read Deerskin by Robin McKinley, Turgeon, or Stardust by Neil Gaiman? I think those are my closest comps, to be honest. Or, like I said, some of Jane Yolen's stuff. Because it's like a fairy tale retelling, and you can tell that it's based on certain fairy tales, and yet it's totally original. In many ways. Like, it's a totally original take on it, right? Many fairy tale retellings like stick very close to the canon. Although people are getting more inventive these days, because fairy tale retellings are a pretty popular genre these days. I mean, when you've got your own category on Amazon, you know people are reading that genre. Yeah, and Mercedes Lackey was a huge influence on me. C.J. Cherryh was a huge influence on me. Oh, read the book. Read the book, Turgeon. The book is so rewarding. Yeah, I've been thinking about picking up Aragon. I mean, because that actually is one of my comp titles too that pops up on coming of age fantasy, right? Although again, you don't necessarily want to target the big thing, because the big thing is the thing that everybody picks up, even if they don't normally read your stuff. So the fun thing about doing these ads is learning about stuff like what you do is you find a book that you think is a good comp, but maybe it's a little too popular for you to bid for because you have to pay more to get those clicks. Or the audience might be corrupted, like I mentioned. And then you look at people who bought this also bought. Or you look at other books like this. You know, Amazon's got listings of those in their ad listing on the book page. And you grab those books. You go and look at those books because they're going to be less popular, but they're still going to be kind of like that thing. So that's kind of what you do. But yeah, I might pick up. I noticed the Aragon set was in a box set, and I was like, you know, there's probably definitely flaws with this writing, but I'm still curious, and I do tend to like to read, like, even if a comp title isn't that well written, I still like to read it. Like, even if I can see flaws of the in the story, I like to read it and see what it's like. See if I can spot the tropes and the everything, you know. Alrighty, so we got these little stipples coming in. You can see how that's giving us, all we're doing is brush texture, but you can see how that's looking much more realistic with the bricks. Oh yeah. Yeah, he was really young. Well, his family helped him a lot with that first book because he was so young. But hey, when you can start your publishing career that young, boy, you're going to learn a lot over that next 10 years. Yeah, I'm sure that I'm sure it's very tropey, but I still would like to read it just to see what it's about. So the box sets are a great way to do that because they tend to be much cheaper. And eventually I'll be putting out a box set for these books, a digital box set. I would have to find a company to do a real physical box set if I wanted to do that. It might be fun though. I probably would have to kickstart it or something because those are not cheap. Like doing print editions, doing quality print editions, boy, guys, not cheap. I can see why authors kickstart some of that stuff, especially if you want to do like nice hardcovers. I'm just putting a little bit of dots of pink back here, a little bit, just a tiny bit. Oh, really? You did not like the movie? See, that's such a shame, Turgeon, because, okay, Stardust, the book. I don't know if you like Neil Gaiman, though. If you do like Neil Gaiman, if you like Sandman, if you've ever read it, or even part of it, like if you like that, Stardust, the book, has so much more depth and cool factor than the movie. Oh, are you talking about? Oh, are you talking about the Talking about Aragon instead of Stardust? I was going to say Stardust, the book, definitely worth picking up if you like my books, in my opinion. I am a Neil Gaiman like fan. Yeah, movie was cute, book was great. Yes. Stardust, yes. Exactly. I would say that. The movie was made to be a Hollywood movie. The book is so much better. But that said, I am a Neil Gaiman fan. I am that kid who, during college, when Sandman was actually coming out in real issues, would run to the comic book store to get my sanity dose because it was the only thing keeping me going at that point. So I have a big emotional attachment to Neil's fantasy work. Oh, okay. Yeah, the movie is cute, but the book is so superior. If you like the fairy tale feel, but an original story like my books, Stardust the book does that justice. But if you're not a Neil Gaiman fan, then maybe not. You don't have to like the books I do. It's just that I think that Stardust is the comp title. Stardust and Deerskin are the comp titles. I will warn you that Deerskin does have that obligatory female assault scene that the 80s books seemed to love so much. But if you can get past that, that was the book that I read that I was like, whoa, wait, people write books like this? This is the kind of book I would want to write. Because I was just reading a lot of fairy tales and folklore at that point. And I didn't know that you could write fantasy books that were based on fairy tales and folklore, but that were their own stories. And so that's why Deerskin got me. And then Stardust was just like, it's not my favorite Neil Gaiman book. Neverwhere is forever my favorite Neil Gaiman book, even though that's urban fantasy. But so just little tiny stipples here, people, to bring out these bricks. Yes. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, Dave. This is a tribute miniature. But the person that, that this was a tribute for was fundraiser, had cancer, and she lost her battle with cancer. So this is our finish. Yes, we've been keeping them in their thoughts as we finished painting Cathy all these weeks. But I think she'd appreciate the pink bricks. I think she would, actually. The pink bricks are actually a bit pinker in person. They're not showing up quite so pink on the camera, but I'm just going to pink up a little bit more of them. I'm using my actual Runic Glow here with just a little bit. This one with only a little bit of the gray in it. Just to add a couple of more punchy touches of pink here and there. Little speckles here and there. Oh, you didn't know. You knew Cathy. Yeah. Yes, Cathy lost her battle with cancer, Dave, and she passed away. James has been doing a lot of, her husband James has been doing a lot of painting this figure, different versions of this figure on his own stream, I believe. Or he's been painting them privately. I wasn't sure, it wasn't clear to me whether he was painting them on stream or just for himself. There we go. We have brick. Brick. So I think that looks pretty good on her, guys. And it's 11:03, which is, this is perfect timing because now I can have you guys choose the model for the next, for the models to replace Cathy. So let's put Cathy down here and yeah, American Gods, honestly, in book form can be a bit of a slog, Turgeon, but read Neverwhere. That is my number one. That is my number one favorite book of all time, I believe. Yeah, you wouldn't think it, right? When you look at our reference, you're like, well, can we really pull that off? But yeah, actually, I think that, and we want it to be a lighter base. I didn't want it to be a darker base. So that's how you do it, guys. That's how you do a brick or stonework base. This is particularly brick, but you do the same technique with like a field stone kind of thing. Yeah, I felt like we covered some pretty good techniques today. Let me get the miniatures that we can replace with. You can stare at Cathy while I do. Oh, well, is this the one we replaced that one with? Maybe, maybe, but I'll let you guys choose anyway, because you might not choose the one that I would choose. So, yes, maybe a poll time. Maybe a poll time if you have time, Quindy. So, let's back up a bit. Our candidates for replacing the inestimable Cathy are Daryl, Human Fighter, with the torch, so it would be an OSL thing. Hold on. Honeythorn Knight, Beefolk, Buzz Buzz, and Cynthia the Wicked, starting Halloween early, just like my local Safeway. In audio specifically, huh, Grey Wolf? You like the Safeway comment, huh, Quindy? It's true! What did they have the other day? Oh man, what did they have? And I was just like, oh, the pumpkin spice. Pumpkin spice pounced before September. We're going to do a poll, Turgeon, I think. Yeah, I'm going to be having this long road trip with Kiki. You know, we're going to be like 8 days on the road. All right, guys, poll. Vote in the poll. Vote in the poll, everybody. Vote in the poll. Don't say it in chat. Vote in the poll. Vote in the poll. Pick your fave. Remember, we will get to all of these. This is just who's going to replace Cathy. If you are on mobile, you might have to go to the top of the chat. Is that where you look? Do you guys know? Can you help Hyper? Help Hyper Bunny find the poll. That sounds like a kid's maze puzzle where you're like, got the little bunny, help the bunny find the carrot. We have to help Hyper Bunny find the poll. Top of the chat box for you. On laptop or on desktop, it's definitely top of the chat box, but I'm not sure on mobile. So you might have to go looking, Hyper. Tap everywhere. It will pop up eventually. That is a strategy. No, Twisted Oma, you have to choose one. Remember, we will be getting to all of these. This is only, that's why it doesn't make sense to have a first and second place. Because, a first and second choice. Because, you know, whichever one you choose that doesn't get it is going to be in the next one. So. Huh, weird, Hyper Bunny. Oh, turn your phone sideways and back. If you're on mobile, it might pop up. Yeah, Twitch mobile does suck. Does suck. You can also try tapping the video area. Yep. Yeah, just one vote. Just one. And I'm not going to vote this time because I'm just going to be me. I know that I'll paint all of these at some point, so it's not like super urgent. 20 people have not voted. Oh no, Hyper. Oh no. Well, Hyper, here, I know what I'll do. Hyper, tell me what your choice is and I'll vote on your behalf because I can see it. Quickly, tell me what your choice is. Quickly, Hyper. Quickly. So quickly, the poll is almost out. Come on. Quick. Choose. Cynthia. Okay. I have voted on your behalf. I have used my vote for you, Hyper, so you had an impact. Yes. Oh, and it was just in time. It just ended. Oh my gosh. Like I did it, and like 3 seconds later, it was done. Well, that was a runaway success. Cynthia the Wicked Witch wins. Beefolk Knight is second, and Mr. Human Fighter is last. Yeah, but it's still nice to have an impact. Papa says it's nice to have an impact. The Papa barks when I get excited, by the way. She wants to be excited also. Did you just woof at me? Yeah, did you? Did they hear you yip? Don't worry, Keeks. It's almost time. I got to get Keeks out on her walk because it's going to be so hot today. Yesterday it was so hot that when we got back around to the start of our block, she actually dragged me to the house and up the walk because she was like, it's so hot. I need to get inside. Yeah. What we're going to do, Pendrake, what we're going to do, I think, is that as we get closer, I'm not going to actually finish it in October. I want to finish it earlier. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe I will wait till next year. Because this is for somebody. But I guess I could wait. Dave, she is a mostly Shiloh Shepherd, which is the breed that I have. And I have a picture. Hold on. Looking for a good Keek picture. Here's my Kiki. She's got a very dark face, so I need to get a better picture of her. No, she's just, we stay on the cement when we can, which is cooler than the black. There we go. There's my Keeks. Ah. There's my Keeks. She's a very dark face. Rhonda will not be on. There's Kiki on the ferry up to Seattle. When we went out to one of the islands, she had to ride a ferry for the first time. Alrighty. There we are. No, Penrick, I originally wanted to end her by finish her by ReaperCon. I will not try to. I'm not. That would be my only real goal. Finishing her by Halloween isn't that important to me. Finishing her in November after Halloween is just fine. Yes, Kiki is also very large. She is about 73 pounds, Dave. She's a big one. Her head is as big as mine when she comes on camera. She sometimes will climb up and say hi to everybody. But yeah, I really wanted to finish this one in time for ReaperCon. It may not be possible. Or I may just decide to say, you know, screw it, we're going to work on it every day, every tape before ReaperCon, starting next week. We may end up doing that. I don't know. It depends. It depends. Yeah, it'd be fine by you, because Halloween. Well, nobody really cares, right? Like, it's like, whatever, I do, Anne does what Anne does, so I can say, hey, we're just going to do the same model day by day until it's done. All Halloween all year. I don't think anybody would mind if I concentrated on Cynthia leading up to ReaperCon. So yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Every other day it confuses me because I normally have my rotation up here and it would be hard for me to remember who was the every other day. Yes. Yes, enjoy the book, Turgeon. Relax and just don't make yourself like go crazy, you know. Just relax. Enjoy it. Just enjoy it. It's a good book, I think. And y'all for the rest of y'all, tomorrow will be we are back on doing our leaves. We're doing our leaves again. Leaves! And now I need to start fading them into fall colors. I think I'll go a little darker and then I'll go fall colors and I'll go brown. I don't know. I need to fit it all in. Fitting it all in is going to be challenging. I might have to start with yellow rims on the last bits of those leaves. But yeah. So, all right. Thank you all. Thank you, everybody. I need to put Cathy on the finished side and sign her bottom. And yeah. Big hearts, everybody. Big hearts. Do you guys, hey, what do you guys think? I don't know if James is coming to ReaperCon, but what do you think if I give that to him? What if he gets that model? Do you think that's a good idea? Or is it, like, do you think he'd appreciate it, or would it be sad? Sign Cathy's bottom, I know, right? She would laugh. I don't know if he's coming. But yeah. I know, Hyper, right? I feel it. All right. Cool, folks. I love you all. Thank you for tuning in, as always. And have a great day. I'm going to try to weather the hot weather. Somehow I have to figure out how to make chili tonight because I couldn't yesterday. Yeah. Okay, Grey Wolf. No, I won't have somebody ask Pendrake. I'll make the... I'm pretty good at my gut calls. I'll see what I feel. I'll see what I feel. I don't want to make him cry or anything at the con. I've had that happen to me, and it's just bad. Yeah. So, no, it's got to be a surprise. It's got to be a surprise. Like, it's either I'm going to do it, or I'm going to wait and do it, or I will give it to Ron. I don't know. I don't know if Ron has one either. So if Reaper doesn't have a painted copy, then that would also influence my decision. All right. All right, everybody. I'll let you go. I got to take the puppy for her walk before it gets too blazing hot out. Much love, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Have a good Monday. Hopefully it's a good Monday and not one of those capital M Mondays. All right? Bye-bye.